Welcome back to the Team to Beat Miami Heat podcast. My name is Amir. We got Trent. You can find him at the Miami Heat Network. We also got Martel. You can find him at the Miami Heat Zone podcast. And we have a special live episode that we're doing for you guys tonight. And we also have a special guest joining us. We have Alphonse Sidney from Miami Heat Beat. Thanks for joining us, Alf.
No problem, fellas. Listen, talking about this team is not the most fun thing in the world, but listen, I'm happy to do it. So somebody's got to talk about them. So
Hey, and I'm sure the hate for the Knicks and Celtics is so deep with us four that we're not even watching the game and we don't even care about that game right now. We'd rather do this live and talk to Heat Nation, even though this was a disastrous season, which culminated in a first round sweep against the Cavs. And those final two games were egregious just when you thought it couldn't get worse, losing by 37 in game three, the biggest blowout in Heat playoff history. They followed that up with a 55-point lead. So it was a shit show. And the regular season was a shit show, obviously. That could be attributed to many factors. Key factor, obviously, was Jimmy Butler losing his joy for basketball and getting traded to the Golden State Warriors. But there were so many other things. But I wanted to focus maybe more about the future and this offseason, because that's the only thing we can hope for, is that we make some changes. Bam alluded to that. Spo alluded to that. We'll see what happens. Who the hell knows? But Alf, in terms of the roster and the moves that we need to make, what areas do you think we need to improve the most on this season?
all of them.
Yeah.
First of all, as far as the Knicks Celtics game, I'm rooting for the Meteor. But beyond that, listen, no matter who wins, I will just end up roasting the other team. But yeah, I would love for the Knicks not to get out of the second round. Like that just warms my heart. But either way, I'll be happy. But yeah, this roster, yeah, listen, they all can go at this point. But seriously, my focus would be at this point. I'm not on the bandwagon of bringing in a guy like Kevin Durant. Like, if that's the kind of move they make, I'll be happy. I'll be like, oh, listen, that's a second round, maybe an Eastern Conference Finals team. But I just don't think there's a lot of future in that. I think that's a short-term move. This team needs to build assets. They need to actually have a plan going forward. Like, I need them to pick a path. The problem over the years is ever since that the play-in tournament where they went all the way to the finals, they haven't after that finals, they never really chose a path. After they didn't get Dame, it's like they just run it back, and there's just been no actual like plan going forward. Like, it's Josh Richardson and Thomas Bryant and like Terry Rozier and Alec Burks, and it's just a mishmash of nonsense, and like hoping that you can ride Jimmy all the way to another conference finals or a finals, and it just hasn't been anything cohesive. It hasn't looked like a strategy, and I think right now is the time to actually. I've never been a fan of tanking or anything like that, but it's time to kind of blow it up in the sense of what you have now just isn't working. They have way too many luxuries on this roster. Tyler Herro, love him to death. He's a luxury. One-way player, can get buckets, but can't defend. He's not a two-way guy. He should be your third option on a really good team. Right now, he's your number one scorer. He's your best offensive player, some nights by leaps and bounds over anyone else on the team, right? You have Duncan Robinson, who, if anybody follows me on Twitter, I'm a Duncan stan. But Duncan is a luxury for a really good team that needs a sharpshooter, right? He's not the kind of guy when you're just a middling team, you can afford for him to be out there with other middling players. Like, you can't have Andrew Wiggins next to Duncan Robinson. It just doesn't work. They just have too many guys like that. Like, right now, the only guys that I'm looking at, I'm like, yeah, definitely would want to keep on the roster. This is just my opinion, is Bam and Davion Mitchell. After that, everybody else, I'm listening. And I mean everybody. Like, people are like, telling me Khalil Ware. Oh, you got to build around Khalil Ware. I don't know what you guys saw from a youngin. I like them a lot, but I'm not building the franchise around Khalil Ware. Like, come on. Like, let's be honest. Let's be serious. Like, y'all saw him have a good game against Wemby, and now he's a franchise. Like, calm the hell down, right? So there's not – like, I like Nico. I like all these young guys, but we always fall in love with our own guys, right? Like, I saw some Lakers fans yesterday on Twitter saying they wouldn't trade Austin Reeves for Bam Adebayo. It is a sickness with fan bases. Like, we fall in love with our guys, and a lot of Heat fans right now are just falling way too in love with these guys. I think the front offices fall way too in love with these guys. It's too sentimental. There's zero consequences for a season like this, right? Like to me, it needs to be blown up. They need to amass assets. They need to just suck for a year and a half, and they need to do something to really, really build around Bam. The Band-Aid lipstick on a pig move of Kevin Durant to me just ain't it.
Man, I feel like I'm talking to myself right now because I'm always preaching this stuff, man. They never choose a direction, and I hate being in this position because you're gonna get the 20th pick like we're at right now. You're always gonna be in the middle. But once again, nice to meet you, bro. I do have a few questions for you. One involving Tyler Herro. Listen, I'm not the biggest Tyler Herro fan. I want him off my team, to be honest with you. I think he had 2 good postseason games in the last 2 years, the Celtics in this series. With Tyler Herro, though, you know, he is our best scorer, and that's the problem because there's no other creator on this team. They were hoping it was going to be Terry, but Terry forgot how to play basketball. He doesn't know how to dribble, shoot. He doesn't know how to do anything no more, right? And so, you know, we got the Wiggins and we got Bam. So technically, that's our little big 3 type stuff, right? But realistically, we all know this front office has been a joke lately, and they tend to run stuff back. My concern is they're gonna go, and I'm joking, but I'm not because I feel like there's a reality to this. They're gonna say, "Yo, Wiggins, he didn't have a full off season with the team, and you know, he wasn't healthy. So let's run it back with that core." And I feel like they're gonna do that, and I hope that's not the case.
Bro, these words are like knives into my soul. Just
it's pathetic. It really is pathetic. But going back to the Tyler comment, because I could just ramble about this Heat for 15 hours. But Tyler, he didn't play that well, in my opinion. He talked about a contract extension right after they asked him questions about it. You know, he could be making he could get like a 3-year, $150 million extension starting October 1st. One, do you think the Miami offer that? And 2, he says if they don't, that's fine. I just want more money. Now, for that type of money, I think you have to be a number 1 option. He's not a number 1 option. Now, he's a number 1 option on this team because that's what they view him as, but he's really not a number 1 option. So just as you, like, what do you do in that situation? Like, do we pay him and kind of hold this team back a little bit more? Because it's like, we ain't going nowhere with Tyler.
No, to me, we're at the point right now. Like I said, Tyler Herro to me is a luxury. If he was your 3rd best player, you got something. You know what I mean? Like, and I think and here's the thing. I think there are teams like you look at the Houston Rockets couldn't score, right? Houston Rockets could use a guy like Tyler Herro. There's a lot of these teams let's even say the Detroit Pistons could have used a guy like Tyler Herro. When you're a team that's got you need like that one little thing to get you over the hump, that 3rd guy that that Derek White, Kristaps Porzingis, like that kind of like that one little piece to get you over the hump. Yeah, Tyler's that kind of guy. But when like you said, when he's the number 1 option on your team, you are just not good enough. And if you keep handcuffing yourself to guys like Tyler Herro on these big contracts that you can't move, like it's crippling, right? So to me, if it was my like I said, I do like Tyler. I'm not one of these guys. In the past, I've been a little bit of a Tyler hater, more of when it just made more sense for him to come off the bench, but they kept starting him anyway, even though the Duncan Robinson, Kyle Lowry backcourt was a much better option and won a lot more, and the winning percentages could not be argued with, and they just would not put this MFR on the bench. Yeah, I was screaming for him to go on the bench, but I think this year he played awesome, right? I think he deserves to talk his shit. He deserves to get his money. But the Miami Heat cannot afford that type of player. And I don't know if anybody should give him that much money. But I think he deserves a good chunk of change. And I just think he needs it somewhere else where he can go be more successful, where they're not going to key in on him like a number 1 guy. That was the biggest problem in the playoffs. They game plan for Tyler Herro. And once you game plan for a guy who, listen, he has a lot of different ways to score, but he's not that strong. His handle is decent. It ain't the greatest handle in the world. And there's no other options. There's no other outlets for him. There's a lot of times there's 4 guys watching Tyler Herro cook. This is not the squad for him, right? And even if you did add a guy like Kevin Durant, right, which I keep going back to because that's the thing I'm watching and I think is going to happen, Trent. I think they're going to get Kevin Durant. They're going to put lipstick on this pig and they're going to make us believe that they run it back with Kevin Durant because I don't even think it might cost you Herro and Bam to get Kevin Durant, right? And maybe, yes, for a short little while, that'll work. But it's just long term. This is not the guy you give $150 million extension to. Not on this team, not with this roster, not with the amount of help they need. Like, they need sweeping changes across the board. Like, they need 10, 11 new players in this building. You can't give $150 million to one guy who only plays on one side of the court.
Now, Martel, before you go real quick, so I agree. I think another point is that they're still just trying to sell tickets. They're still trying to make money and, get people in the crowd, because it's like if you have Tyler, Bam, and Durant, you're still kind of competing in some way. But we know as Heat fans, we ain't winning nothing. No. But another thing that I do think plays a factor is his comments. Now, Tyler's comments. Now, you could say, the article tried to make Tyler look bad, but in my opinion, the article didn't really make much sense. Made much sense with Tyler's kind of saying that he didn't need Jimmy Butler. Do you think those type of comments, play a factor in the contract negotiations? Because I'm not. It's weird because, like I said, he tried to. I didn't say that, this and that, and I also do know, like, these articles do be trying to make players do look bad sometimes. Like, that's what they do to get views and clicks on their articles and stuff like that. But do you I definitely do think he needs somebody. Everybody needs somebody. Let's be realistic. But do you think those play a factor, though? Like, I'm looking at you as my number one guy, and you're coming out in a playoff series saying, yo, listen, I miss Jimmy. I wish we had him. And then saying we're not going down 4-0. And then next game, put 4 points up, 1 for 10 at home.
Listen, I don't think the comments. I think it was so bad. Ain't a comment in the world gonna make it worse, right? Like, listen, I was one of these people that wanted them to get into the playoffs, right? I really did, because I'm never gonna root for my team to lose. I just think it's bad karma. Plus, I think they're gonna be really bad next year, right? Especially if they don't get KD. And I would rather have that pick with a better chance to jump into the top 3 than this pick at number 11. You weren't going to jump out of number 11. It just doesn't happen very often. And if you did, fantastic, but it's not. It was a gamble. It was a crapshoot. But to me, this is what needed to happen. It needed to be glaring, embarrassing. It needed to be on national TV. You need the entire NBA world laughing at you for these dudes to actually do something and change something. So yeah, like the comments, I think some of it was taken out of context. Listen, they love that stuff. We're not getting swept. They love that kind of shit, right? Like, they're probably all, well, yeah, they were like running up, and they were all trying to defend him against Darius Garland and just got murdered the next 2 games, right? They love all that rah-rah tough guy bullshit. But what they don't love is that embarrassment that just happened, that shame that just happened. And that's what needed to happen. The comments don't matter. The 4 points, like you said, that's what matters, right? Where it became glaringly obvious that he can't get by Max Strus. Like, that's where it became glaringly obvious. When you could see that Andrew Wiggins just forgot how to play basketball for long stretches during the game and didn't even look like he wanted to be out there, for God's sake. Like, I'm not the body language guy. I don't like to look, I don't like to chastise personalities except for Terry Rozier. But beyond Terry, like, Wiggins didn't look like he wanted to be out there. Like, at the end, it looked like they beat the dog out of Davion Mitchell, which I didn't think was possible. Like, it was sad. It was pathetic the way they went out. And honestly, it needed to happen this way, guys, in my opinion. Like, if they lost the second play-in game by like 2 points, they would have convinced themselves, man, if we didn't go on that 10-game losing streak, we were so close. If we had they would have convinced themselves. They can't convince themselves of shit anymore. They are bad. They are dog shit bad, and they need to blow it up.
So then, Alf, where do you stand with Bam Adebayo? Because don't get me wrong, I think we all know that Bam, he does way more than he's supposed to. I think that this franchise has honestly failed him when it comes to roster construction. I know a lot of people say he needs a point guard. He doesn't. I feel like, even though, because think about it, he's going to be on this max deal pretty soon. The last year of the max deal, he's almost making $60 million. So, of course, could the roster structure be better? But then at the same time, like, when you look at this Cleveland series, he didn't even attack any of the bigs. You know what I mean? He didn't get Mobley or Jared Allen into any type of foul trouble. And to be honest, the only good games that they had were the 2 closeout games. Outside of that, like, the first 2 games, it was really all the guards. But I didn't feel Bam just impose his will. I didn't see Bam get to the free throw line, be aggressive. And I know we always talk about all the great things that Bam does, and he's phenomenal for this team. However, it's like, we're always trying to make him be more aggressive. We're always trying to even just look at the rim. And I know some of it is also Spoelstra's fault because he's so worried about the dribble handoff and the screen setting that they completely forget about Bam. And this offense should be running through Bam. They crowned him king. They crowned him the culture guy. He's the captain. He's the leader. So what do we do with Bam Adebayo going forward? We always cook Tyler for the defense.
Yeah.
But we also have to sometimes cook Bam for the offense because sometimes he's not looking at the rim. He's not getting to the free throw line. It looks like he doesn't even want to touch the ball offensively.
Absolutely. Like, listen, I love Bam, and honestly, I still think he's a guy you build your franchise around because the defense is undeniable. But when they needed him to score, I mean, like you said, there were times he didn't look at the basket till they were down 35 points. It's driving me fucking crazy, right? Like, what are you doing, bro? Go at somebody. Even if you and part of the problem is like he gets stripped down low. He loses the ball in traffic too much. Like he just has bad hands at times. But we've also seen on this team, like empirically, when his usage is up, when he has the ball, when he's demanding the ball, when he's aggressive, when he's shooting, he's one of the best clutch players in the league. Like they are better, right? And to your point, some of that has to be coaching. Like what has been ingrained in his head that you have to always look for the handoff. You always have to have your back to the basket looking for the pass. Like, bro, go get a bucket. Go get yours. Because like they try to take that little midi out of his game completely. And what happened? It killed him the whole first half of the year. He finally found it again. He was aggressive again, and he was on a tear. Then we get into the playoffs, and like it just everything just short circuited. I think a lot of that, to a lot of people's point, is the guard play. Like the guards are just not getting him the ball in the best position. But then sometimes, like Bam, you got to go get yours. Now, what I will say is on a team, and we've seen it on the past, in a team with better players, better supporting cast, when you had a Jay Crowder or a PJ Tucker sitting in that corner ready to shoot at all times, Bam looked a lot better, right? Like when you had Goran Dragic out there, when you had even Kyle Lowry at times, when you had better guard play, when you had better offensive guys around him, Bam always looked better. Like having a guy like Andrew Wiggins, who is a black hole, who is one of the worst passers I've ever seen, right? Like when he does pass, he's throwing grenades to somebody with 3 seconds left on the shot clock. You had him with Terry Rozier all season. You had him with Jaime Hawkins, who turned into a black hole this year, who would just do a spin move, bounce it off another player, and then the ball's going the other way. Like it was a shit show all season, and Bam still averaged like what 18-9, 18-10. Bam as your third or fourth offensive option where you're not counting on his offense and he can just anchor the shit out of a great top 5 defense is where he needs to be. And he will. And in those cases where you don't need Bam so much offensively and he doesn't have to handle such an offensive load, he is the best defender in the entire league. And to me, that is still a max player. That is still something you build around, right? But I do understand where people are down on him because of the offense. And a lot of that has to do with Bam, yes. It has to do a lot with coaching. It has to do with really, really, really shitty roster construction. He's out there with Kyle Anderson, for God's sake. Like, give the man a break. Like, it's Kyle Anderson and Alec Burks. Like, what are we doing over here?
Well, then where do you stand with this front office? Because there's a bunch of people that want Pat Riley fired. And I'm not saying that everyone has to be fired from top to bottom, but I think we get blinded with this, like, heat culture cult stuff. And I'm not saying that it doesn't work, but for them to refuse things to change, for them to refuse to not change the offense when Spoelstra should be on the hot seat right now. I love Spo. I think he's the best coach in the NBA. He can do the most with the least amount of talent. But then at the same time, when you have a bottom offense 5 years in a row, even when Jimmy Butler was here, your offense is terrible. Even when we had decent roster construction, his offense is terrible. You know, they're blowing leads. Of course, you're going to have a down season every now and then, but it's like they want Pat fired. They want Mickey to sell the team. They want Spoelstra fired. And it's just like, don't get me wrong, because I actually think that Mickey spends. He spends. The problem is they spent them on the wrong player.
Yeah, you know, stuff like trade a first round pick for Terry Rozier, right?
Yeah, bad asset management. That's on the franchise. So what do you think about this franchise going forward? Because I honestly think they need somebody like a D'Antoni to, you know, someone like with an offensive mind, because we can't just sit here and allow, you know, Chris Quinn and Caron Butler and Spo to continue to do this offensive foolishness.
It's just like they take players from bad offensive heat teams and make them assistant coaches. Like that's what we do, right? Like honestly, the funny thing is like their best offensive team was the first year Kyle Lowry got here. And then they took Duncan Robinson out of the starting lineup, basically banished him. And then now they went on to run in the playoffs, but then they became a bad offensive team, and they've never got the offense back ever since then, right? So yes, you're right. 5 years, several years, like they've just been a bad offense. They do not run a modern offense, right? Everyone's out here scoring 120, 130. We struggle to break 100 points every single night, right? I think a lot of that is on Spo. A lot of that is on roster construction. A lot of it's on the front office. What I will always say about Pat, this is not 2008. This is not 2012. Pat Riley is not the singular voice in the franchise anymore. It is everything is more like this is more by committee than anything else, right? So there's a lot of people that have voices in that room. It's Nick Ayrton, Andy Ellisberg, Adam Simon. Spo has a very large voice in that room. From everything I've heard, Spo is the reason they went after Terry Rozier, okay? Which makes a lot of sense when we could see he was playing like dog shit and Spo would have put him on the bench because he was trying to justify that going to bat for him. I heard Nick Ayrton didn't want any parts of Terry Rozier, but they still made the trade because they do it by committee. I think maybe that's part of the problem. Maybe there's too many voices. Maybe that's why we feel like they can't choose a direction because everybody's got their favorite and nobody's willing to relinquish their favorite. Everyone knows they should have gave up. They should have parted with Jimmy Butler in the offseason. Could have got a much better return and decided, okay, let's go to this youth movement. They've tried to do this like two-tiered future thing, and it's just not working. So to your point, do they need to find an offensive mind? I think so. Or if there's an offensive mind in the building, they need to start listening to that person. Spo needs to get off like this stubborn shit, whatever Spo is on, like he needs to let go of it because it's obviously just not working, right? And I love Spo too. I think he's the best coach in basketball. But what I'm tired of is the fact that you are not allowed to question Spo. Like that's done. Like this nonsense, you're not allowed to question Spo. He can do no wrong. Like, no, we're questioning Spo over here. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I question his moves. I question a lot of things he does. And you are right. Any other franchise, he would be on the hot. First of all, he'd be fired.
But and I love all the Miami guys. I have no beef, no nothing with none of them. I love all Miami Heat content creators, everybody. They don't put, which they always say, oh yes, we do. They don't put him in the hot seat. They don't put Pat Riley in the hot seat. They don't. Not like, listen, all these other franchise, they do not cook Pat. They do not cook any one of these guys. When they're on that seat, they refuse to cook him in the media.
If they have credentials, they don't do that.
It's not even that deep because you don't have to do it disrespectfully, but you're holding people accountable. That's all you're doing.
Listen, and I remember Mike Ryan would say it on the Levitard show, and I would agree. We have some of the weakest beat pool reporters. The cult of personality extends to our media, right? And we used to always joke with Alex Toledo from 5 Reasons. Alex, hold him accountable. And honestly, Alex asked some tough questions and supposed to be giving him some dirty looks. And I like that, right? But like, no, we don't. Like, listen, in New York, they be frying their ass right now.
In Philly,
frying. Boston, frying. LA, they be frying their ass. We're the only ones that just sit here, and because of the past, because of history, we just acquiesce and say, oh, you know what? They'll figure it out. And they have earned the benefit of the doubt. But at the same time, listen, I manage people. I've run companies. If there are zero consequences for failure, this is the shit that happens. You come out of the most embarrassing playoff series, and everyone's just like, oh, we didn't know it was going to be that bad. Fuck you mean? The fuck you mean? You didn't know it was going to be that bad. That's your job. Like, where was the adjustment from the 37-point ass whooping? You adjusted into a 55-point ass whooping. Kyle Anderson at the 5, that was your adjustment? Like, come on. Like, what are we doing here? And, like, listen, like I said, I still love Spo. I love Bam. I love Pat. I love the Heat front office. But at some point, I'm allowed to question them. Like, these Heat fans will jump down your throat if you say the first crossword about anybody in the Heat front office, Heat coaching staff. Like, stop. Like, we need to stop being sycophants, right? They are not infallible. They make mistakes, and then they got to be held to account. And like this season, that series is a kind of shit that gets people fired.
Yeah, and this next season is It looks pretty bleak, honestly. I know we haven't really picked a direction. I know you mentioned earlier we need to reshuffle this entire roster, get rid of 11 different folks, but we can't because we have 13 guys that are under contract next year. A couple of them will be expiring. Obviously, Duncan has his early exit termination option, which would mean he'll get 10 million. But if he stays, that's 19 million. It'll be off the books next year. Terry making 25. But other than that, like we are effectively, unless we somehow magically have assets that are like that other people think that are assets, like a Jaime or any of these expiring contracts or a Jovic or whoever, they need to find value into the guys that we value so much. Otherwise, we're not getting a trade because right now, like again, Kevin is on the roster, Terry, Wiggins, Tyler, Bam, Haywood, Kyle Anderson, Kalel, like Jaime, Pelle Larson, like this is the exact same team. So how could we expect a different outcome? Like if we get any injuries, we're screwed again. Obviously, maybe we could do a little better than like we'll do better
no matter
regular,
what.
right?
We're screwed no
Yeah,
we're screwed no matter what, right? Like
we
so
will because I agree with you though earlier because I was saying I wanted us to make the playoffs because I don't want my team to lose. I want to see more playoff basketball, so I thought. But then also those lottery protections are so freaking big because we are effectively running it back. If Bam or Tyler tears their Achilles the first week of the season, we're competing with the Wizards. We're the worst team, and imagine we don't get our top 3 pick. That's going to be more detrimental than not getting the 11th pick. So we're running it back, and if we don't get a Jaw, Trey, Zion, we're definitely not getting Giannis or anybody of that caliber because we only have 3 tradable picks. We're running it back, man. Like, do you think we can get anybody, honestly? Because otherwise,
no, the goal should not be add to this roster. The goal should be to take this roster and strip it for whatever you can get, right? That's my thing. I just want to listen, right? Like if somebody calls on Tyler Herro and they say a first and a second and some expiring contract, do it. Get the assets. If somebody calls on Jaime Hawkins and says 2 second rounders, get the assets. That is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about strip the damn thing for parts. Stop trying to put we put lipstick on the pig, then we put pigtails, we put a little dress on it, we put little high heel shoes on his hooves, and it's adorable, but it's still a fucking pig, okay? Like, stop. Like, leave. Like, we need to just call it what it is. Like, this is not a good team. And to my guys, I would keep our Bam and Davion Mitchell. And like, listen, if nobody calls and gives you a good offer for Jovic, I'd love to keep Jovic. I like the kid. I'd love to keep Kel'el Ware. But if somebody calls with a good offer for Kel'el Ware, bye. Good offer for Jovic, deuces. But what I don't want, don't do an offer to bring back Paul George or some shit like that. Like, unless Paul George is on expiring. I don't know his contract. But if Paul George is expiring, bring his ass over here so he can get hurt and we could really suck next year. The goal for this team needs to be pairing Bam Adebayo with Anthony Edwards, with Donovan Mitchell, with a Ja Morant, with an SGA. These kinds of guys. These kinds of guys can't be had for whatever poo-poo platter of bullshit they have as far as assets are concerned now, right? You need to just suck. Get to the point where you have 5 tradable firsts. You have some expiring deals. You could do something. You can put together a massive package for some team for Anthony Edwards when he's done over there. Because he don't want to stay in Minnesota. He loves Bam. He loves Poe. But right now, if you go ahead and do the KD deal, you're going to have to give up 3 first-round picks, any decent expiring contract you have. And then now, when the Anthony Edwards or the Donovan Mitchell or somebody of that ilk is available, we're going to be once again sitting here with our hands in our pockets talking about I got $3. Like, there just has to be, like, you guys remember 2008 to 2010? We just listen. And we still made the playoffs. But if somebody offered us a player after 2010, we're like, nah, we're good. We don't want no contracts after 2010. There was a plan. And yes, it was 2 years of Dwayne Wade's best years, right? But the ends justified the means at that point. This is the kind of thing when we need to talk. People talk about you can't waste Bam's prime. Yes, you can. If you can waste some of Dwayne Wade's prime, you can waste some of Bam's prime. You have to do a reset here. Like, this piecemealing shit, pussyfooting around it, is just never going to get the job done.
You think there's a world where we go I mean, we're never going to do it, obviously, but would it even make more sense to sell Bam and Tyler and completely rebuild? Because even if we sell Tyler, we still don't have enough to add that Ant-Man and Bam and be good enough to win. We
Bro,
won't have
somebody if someone turns around and offers you 4 first-round picks for Bam on some shit like that, like on some Mikal Bridges, Rudy Gobert type crazy deal, I would not be mad if the Heat said yes. And I love Bam Adebayo, but I would not be mad if the Heat said yes. Now, I'm also the kind of sicko that's still going to watch that team play. Now, I understand the Heat. They're gonna be like they're afraid. I think Trent brought it up. They're afraid of 2 years of empty arenas, right? But at this point, you are risking a completely apathetic fan base, completely apathetic, because I don't know who's lining up to see this current roster as it is next year. So you can do the Kevin Durant thing and get some excitement. Then he sprains his ankle in November and he's gone out for 3 months. And then what are you going to do, right? So, in my opinion, I think the fan base, the front office, the team, the roster, everybody needs a couple years of pain to move on to brighter days. I sound like I'm trying to convince you guys that tariffs are good.
Exactly. Yeah. You got to take a few steps back before you can be good again, right?
You don't need super maxes. You just need a couple mid-level extensions. That's it.
I mean, we can have super maxes as long as they're Luka, Anthony, and any of those guys, but it can't be super maxes with Bam and Tyler. Then we're good.
Exactly.
That's the biggest issue there. But hey, maybe we can get that one day Boston formula, OKC formula, right? Where you do get top 5 lottery picks. You get your Browns, your Tatums, your Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgrens, and then you make one other move through free agency or trade, and that's sometimes how you have to rebuild. You got to suck for a couple years, get that assets through the draft, and then you can make a trade. But it's probably never going to happen for Miami because we don't take. So.
Yeah, and see, the thing is, to me, you don't even have to. It's not necessarily tanking, even, right? Like, you just need, even like if your team sucks and Spo somehow still gets to a 5 seed, great, right? But you got the assets you needed by trading the players you needed to trade, right? And my thing is, stop worrying about the record. Just go fill your war chest, because it's bare right now. Like, that's my whole thing. You don't have the assets necessary to make the kind of moves that you want to make to become a contender again. So how do you do that? And I'm not the guy who says rebuild through the draft, because listen, by the time these motherfuckers are good, Miami will be underwater. I don't got that kind of time. Like, I mean, I want you to get them. I want you to respect draft assets so you can trade them for a superstar. Like, I'm not going crazy over a 19-year-old. I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about making sure when that next big deal becomes available, you're the guy in the room with 5 tradable first round picks, not the one with 2, and you're trying to convince another GM through the media that they should make the deal that nobody wants to make.
The only shitty part, though, is most of those teams that got all the assets, like the Thunder, like the Rockets, like the Spurs, they had to trade a superstar away, like James Harden, Paul George when he was good. That's like going back to the whole, you got to probably trade Bam and Tyler if you realistically want to have 7 draft picks and have all the assets for these superstars. But that's not where we're at today. So
do whatever you have. I mean, I'm just at this point where you're not. It's this. What you've been doing ain't working. Like, you could have fooled yourself after you went from an 8 seed to the finals, right? And they did. They convinced themselves, right? They fooled themselves. I don't understand how they fooled themselves last year when they stunk and they decided we need to keep Caleb Martin for some strange reason. You could have got something for Caleb Martin. They decided that instead of letting Kyle Lowry just run out because he was rude and I guess Ira Winderman didn't like him, you got to trade him in a first round pick for Terry Rozier, who I don't know anybody who was clamoring for Terry Rozier. I remember when people were trying to tell me, "Oh, he's Diet Dame." I'm like, no, he's not. No, he's not.
He's LaMelo was out. He's got the usage and green light.
Like, what are you talking about? Like, this, like, he's not even Diet Darius Garland. Like, what are you talking about? This is Terry Rozier, and like that never made any sense to me. And then you get to the offseason. You're talking shit to Jimmy Butler, who's the only reason your franchise has mattered for 5 years. Trade him for 2-3, and you know you're not going to give him the extension. I don't care what anybody says. This bullshit about if he had played a certain amount of games, they just wanted to see him try hard. First of all, you don't tell the guy who's carried your franchise for 5 years, we want to see you try hard, bitch. The only reason you guys are even any good is because I try hard, right? At that point, they needed to make a decision. They were never going to extend Jimmy Butler. You should have traded him. And I know we're rehashing old shit, but like these are the kind of like ballsy decisions a franchise makes that pay dividends in the future. Just like you guys are saying, I'm over here like I don't want to trade Bam, but I'd be a fool if somebody called me with 4 first-round picks and 2 expiring for Bam, and I said no. I'd be a fool at this point. Like you have to pull the trigger on something, or listen. We can be the greatest playing tournament team of all time. Hang the banner. We're gonna print some T-shirts.
I mean, we're in playing purgatory at this rate. I mean, that's where we're headed. So.
We're the Hawks of the 2010s.
Yeah, but even what's sad is though, I mean, what's his name was hurt. Jalen Johnson was hurt. Like they could have been a better team even. Then
I'm talking about the Hawks of the 2010s that were just 4 or 5 seed every freaking year. Like we are just not good, not bad, just stuck in the middle, stuck in purgatory. And like honestly.
Like the Jeff Teague years and
yes, exactly.
After the Josh Smith, Horford, after that other build, yeah.
That's where we are. And how sad is that? I miss James Johnson.
It's horrible, but it's better than being a fan of a lot of other franchises because the Miami Heat still is a world-class organization, even though we're going through some shit right now. We'll be back. They'll be better, hopefully. Maybe not next year, but in a few years, we'll see what happens. But anyway, Alf, thank you so much for hopping on this live show. Really appreciate it. Before we hop off, do you want to let the audience know where they can find you online?
You guys can find me on Twitter, on Blue Sky. I mean, you can follow me on Instagram, but it's just pictures of my daughter. At Alf954. Find me on Miami Heat Beat doing the post-game shows. So won't see me much till next year because I'm not doing season previews. I'm not breaking down the guards or the wings or the centers on the roster. I don't do any of that stuff. I just like to talk shit after a game and have a drink. But I enjoy you. But if you guys need me, just call me. I'll jump back on. But yeah, you'll catch me on the post game shows next year. Miami Heat Beat.
Awesome. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate
it. All right,
Joe.
Thanks, guys.
Yep. And don't forget, subscribe on Trent's channel, Miami Heat Network. Martel's the Miami Heat Zone podcast, and I'm the Team to Beat Miami Heat podcast. Thanks, guys.